So in today's class, we are going to talk about, this is the next topic where we are going to talk about the print project view, share, export project, use view commands, existing views, and some custom views, how to create that. And also we'll talk about the format and share the timeline view, how does it work. Now, talking about the print view, so most of the time when we are trying to use it, this is exactly what do we do, and we need it for mostly for when we have to show the timelines and we are preparing the presentation or some kind of a dashboard. Then we need to attach, or sometimes you have the just a project meeting where you need to go over all the updates and everything, and then you need to have the print view. This is exactly when we use it. So step 1, select the view tab from menu. Then this is what you end up with. This is exactly the screen looks like. So as you see here, from the view, that's when we go. And once we come to this screen, on the right hand we see the Gantt chart, left hand we have all the task items which are listed. Now we are trying to find the milestone which is associated with the project schedule, and that is one of your tasks. So moreover, in a nutshell, we need to have a task item converted as a milestone. So what do we see here? So find a milestone in your project schedule which is your task item. So if, let's say, testing completed is the milestone, but at this point of time it is just a task item and we need to make it as a milestone, then what do? We need to have that add to the timeline. So what happens is when we are doing the reporting, it will come up as on the milestone report, which we have seen it already in the practical session. The next step is right click on the task item and select add to timeline as shown in this image. So this is exactly what we will do. So when we do the reporting, it will get added. Then the timeline summary. See here, it says detailed timeline. Now what you need to do is you need to repeat this task for all the individual task items for which you want to show it in the summary report or the detailed report, where you want to display all these values. And that is only possible when you identify all the task items which you want to report it as a milestone, and that is how you are going to do it. So that is your report where all the milestones are going to be seen. After all the task has been added to the timeline view, go to format menu and give some color flavor. Color flavor is, see, it always recommended to have nice colors so that people get to read it, and these are reports we are talking about. So it always has to make sure that there is some kind of attraction to it. Otherwise it becomes very, very hard for you to get the attraction towards the report. It is just kind of a blank report, so there is no user friendly, I would say, color. You're using too bright colors or you're using too dull colors. So either way, so you can play around with the color, and in that way when you will play around with the color, it is going to, let's go back, you see these bars, you can have it as color coded. Now there are two views. On the left hand side, what do we see is a task view. On the right hand side, what we see is a Gantt chart view. Now we are talking about the printing option. So let's understand how the print option for the Gantt chart and the corresponding task view, we can see it on the 11 by 17 sheet of paper. That's our regular sheet what we use for our letter printing and all. So for that, first thing we need to go to the task view and look at the Gantt chart. So once we get there, this is how it looks like. So you see here, we have the time scale and the days. That is what we just want to see. So for our report purpose, I want to just get the print of all the task items in days and their timeline in the Gantt chart view. So this is something what I want to print it for my project. Now to change the timeline scale, go to the view tab and then zoom the river. Now when you get there, you have an option to select the time scale drop down menu, and that is what you are going to do. So as you see here, you have that other view option also, and that's where you can play it around. and you can see that, okay, how big, how small you want to have this projected so that it fits into one piece of paper for the printer. So you can also zoom in and zoom out. Now this time scale means that, okay, how do you want to see it? You want to see it in a week, you want to see it 15 days time frame, you want to see it for 1 year, how do you want to showcase, or in days, and what do you want to, from here you can pick. So accordingly this entire number will get adjusted, and that is how you will be able to see it. Then we have adding horizontal grid lines to your Gantt chart. Now what do we mean by that? Let's first look at the images, how that looks. To add or change the grid line, go to the Format tab. As you see here, this is our Format tab next to the View. And there you go to the Format ribbon. And in that, here you will see text style, and then next to the text style you will see grid line menu. Click on that, it will give you the grid line options. And this is where you are going to change the options. So once you get into the grid line options, so now see here, you have the option for that, okay, how do you want the horizontal grid line? Then go to the grid lines. From format, grid line, and then you go to the grid line itself, and you want to make sure that, okay, you want to show the horizontal grid line. When you click on it, this is what you will see. So what does it say? In the dialog box, you have an option that how do you want to see. So let's say you want to change something just for the Gantt chart rows. So in that case, you can have it like, okay, at what interval you want to change it. You want to say that, okay, I want to change it based on the number of, I'm just thinking loud here, the interval time. The interval time is something kind of a customized, which you have an option that you can do the custom coding to say that, okay, how do you want to do it? You want to set the interval like 2, 3, 4, or other means that, okay, what number you want to set it up, you can set it up. Then let's talk about some of the things over here, which are the other things what we see on the left hand side. Now, first thing, you need to understand when are we going to have the grid lines defined. Do we need it or we don't need it? Now, whenever we have the need of it, what we are going to do is we have to come up, see, we can, if we go back, let me take a step back over here. No, this. Okay. So here you can have horizontal, you can have vertical. Now, if you want to go quickly on the, whether you are talking horizontal or whether you are talking about the virtual, it's all about visual. That is what the beauty of grid line. There is nothing else. So when we get there, you see here, all of these, this is what we are talking about. So when we get to the Gantt chart and the grid view, and we are looking at it, what we need to make sure in the grid line dialog box, which is this dialog box, we want to understand that, okay, what kind of a line we want to showcase. So here if you see, we don't see any Gantt chart, but this is what your Gantt chart is showing it at the right hand side. You see here, these lines, this is what is your grid line. So if you want to show it and change it, this is what your type is. So if you want to show it to this type, this is what you are going to show it as a type, and you can pick it from the pick list what type you want to have it, and then corresponding color. So if you want blue color, you choose the grid line color as blue. If you want to choose it as some other color, you can choose it. Then look at the interval. Now change the interval. At interval from none to other, and from toggle change the interval to 1. Why do we want to do that? Okay. Now all the tasks including summaries have grid line, which will make comparison between task and the Gantt chart bar much easier. So you are saying that anything we are only making it, see here we don't see 1 anywhere, we have the value as 1 over here, we don't have that. So either none or 2 3 4, that is the interval we want to see it. But if you want to change it to other and make it as 1, then what will happen, left and the right, it would becomes very easier for you to do the conversion or internal uh, I'm just not getting the right word. It will become very easy for you to have the side-by-side comparison of the task and your Gantt chart. That is what it is. So we use it over there. Then once we have all those things on the left hand side, what do we see? You want to show the sheet. So all these preparation you are doing it so that your printout comes across good. The final product is going to be good. That is the reason. So you have current dates, you want to show that. Then the bottom tier column, on the bottom you want to show that, okay, which are the columns. Then you have the middle tier column, these are the displaying the columns, that is what it is. Then you have the page break, you want to define where exactly your page should break. Is it based on the number you want to do it, or you want to do it based on what is the size, how much does it fit into the page? That's how you want to do it. So this is what these options are. This is all for your print preview or the final print product. Then we are talking about the vertical grid lines. So far what we talked about is your horizontal. Now we are talking about the vertical. And which are the verticals? These are our vertical lines. One task getting ended, another task is getting picked up by the uh, next task item. Now to add monthly vertical grid line, activate the grid line dialog box. In the line to change and select middle tier column. So now we understood that, okay, how we are going to add the vertical. It's the same process, but the only thing is what we are going to change over here is we are going to change the middle tier column in line to change. So how does it look like? You see here. When you will get to the grid line, the previous one, what did we do for horizontal? What did we do? We went to the Gantt chart. Now what we are doing it over here, we get into the middle tier, and from there middle tier you see here normal, the dotted line we want to see, and then the color is automatic, whatever is the default color, that's picked up by the system. So automatically based on that it will change the color. Now we are talking about, set the normal type to dotted line and the color to be black or automatic. Now your Gantt chart and the associated grid lines will appear as per the specification and the changes which you have just made. Then we have the printer option. Now in the printer option, your Microsoft 2016 is going to be different as compared to Microsoft 2013. So what do we see here is Microsoft 2013. On the left hand side, all the options what you're looking at. So from there, you're going to set up that, okay, how do you want to print it? The other option is if the project plan is really, really small and you have an option to take a screen print of it, you can take the screen print of it. But if you don't have that option, then you will just let it go. So here, to do this, select the File tab, Print section, and then set the printer to Adobe PDF. So from here you have the option. This option is not there in 2007 on the previous versions unless you have the integration of Microsoft Office Suite with PDF reader or the PDF writer. If you have that integration, then it may allow you to convert it into PDF. If you don't have that, it won't, because those functionality is only 2013 and up versions have in Microsoft Office any product where you can convert directly to the PDF. Now note that your print setting is set to print specific dates, which is what we want, because we want the only date specific, because that is the date what we are targeting for. So we want to, let's say, find out only the progress which we have made for the development. We want to see that, because we know that during the meeting for the requirement and the technical requirement document, we have already gone through the timeline. So we need to make sure we have the specific dates. However, select the setting print specific date drop down menu and select the all sheet column option. Why did we do the all sheet column? Because even though we are putting the specific date, but still we want to make sure that we capture all the sheets. It's not like that we are just printing the tasks and we are just printing the Gantt chart, or we are just printing the resource sheet. We want to make sure all the different tabs which we have created, because there could be the possibility we have 10 different type of reports which we created. We don't want to keep clicking all the different reports and then get the print of it. So you need to make sure that all sheets column option is selected, then it will print all the sections which are part of our project plan. Now, when you do that, this will include all your current column in the task view in the print out view. Note how your predecessor column is now viewable in the print view. So what do we see here? It is showing you the exact print view of your project. This is exactly how it will look like. There is a cut on the right hand side, but if you open that up and see, you will be able to see the actual end or the termination when the project or the task item is getting ended. So wherever you see the human, that those symbols are going to give you that, okay, these are the resources which is already assigned to it, and that is what it is trying to give you that. Now, when you are printing it, you need to make sure that, see, mostly executive dashboard is the only area where you are going to need everything. Otherwise, it's all phased wise. So when we talk about the phased wise, that means everything is a phased approach. That's when you are going to keep track of all these things. And also, not only that, you see here the specific dates. Since you selected this option from the previous scales, only print the time scale between the selected dates. So that means you have defined the date. This is the date what I want to see it. Page 1 to 1. Just one page. Because when you are taking the selected date, you do not want to have 10 different pages printed. No, you just want to make sure that if your data relies on only first page, you just want to make sure you print only one page. And that is your print setup. Now we are talking about the Gantt chart adjustment. Now to make certain your Gantt chart, including bar levels, is fully viewable in the date section of the setting, change the start date to January 1st, 2014, which is 4 days before the project start date. So now what happens? What happens to those 4 days? If it is January 4th, that is 4 days before the start date. So how does it look like? So as you see here that we are setting up the timeline over here, and that's what we are going to do. Now the other way to change the end of May 20th, 2015, 1 month after the finish date. Setting the start and the finish date as such will ensure that your Gantt chart relationship arrow and the labels are clearly viewable. See, the reason why we are making sure that all our dates are correct, because when we look at the final report, we want to make sure that all the dates what is listed over there makes sense. And that is only possible if we know all the dates and we have reviewed it, we have spent time on it, then only we will be able to know. And then only we'll be able to make that decision very firmly to say that, okay, this is what the date what I want to see the report out of it. That is 1/5/2015 to 4/20/2015. That is the date what's taken over here. Then we have your Gantt chart including labels should now be fully viewable. So on the right hand side, what do we see? We have all the labels, all the months what is listed, and then all these labels, and then the corresponding timeline for all the levels based on the tasks which are being defined over here. Now we have outlining the levels. Now how do we do the outlining of the levels? So to do that, first thing, show the outline number of each task. Okay. Then go to the project summary and select that format tab, show and hide ribbon, and check the outline number and the project summary task box. So as you see it over here, let's see if I have a bigger screen. Okay, yeah. So what do we see? We go to the format and then we have, you see this option over here, outline number. See here, you have all the numbers which are outlined, and then we have the summary task. So we are looking at the summary task. These are our summary tasks, 4.2. Then your 4.1, 2, and 3 rolls up to the construction phase, and that is your summary task. Construction is the summary task. So in the print preview, how will it look like when the PDF gets generated? This is exactly how it will look like. So now we know exactly that, okay, 1, 2, 3, 2 is the project start date, and then 3 is a milestone. 4 is a milestone, and under 4 milestone we have other task deliverables which are 4.1, 4.2 and 4.3. Then again 5 is the task item that is the primary task item, and then that have several subtask items. So this is exactly how our print preview will look like. Now we are talking about the legend. Now when we talk about the legend, if you want to set it up, we can set it up, or if you want to just set it up during the print preview, we can do that. To change the margins, header, footer, and the legend among other items, select Page Setup in the Print dialog box. So all of these setup we can do it in the Print Setup dialog box, because that's where you can define some of the settings which will help you in printing and everything. So what do we do? So when we get to the Print Setup, this is exactly what we are going to do. Select the Legend tab and Legend on every page option. So you have every page, legend page or none. So if you just want these settings to get applied on the legend page, you do that. If you want it every page, then put every page. Now that is the legend we have given. Then let's say the width. The width is something which you control it. So if you want to change the legend width from 2 inches to the 3 inches, you can do that. If you just want to let it be by default, which is your 2, you can leave it up to 2. Then we have, if want to limit the bars display in the legend to only those your Gantt chart. That means what do you need to do is you want to control the access that who can see at what level of the Gantt chart. Then you can do that. So to do this, the Format tab, bar style ribbon, go to the Format tab, bar style ribbon, Format drop-down menu, and the bar style option, which will bring up the bar style dialog box. Place an asterisk before the name of every bar style that you do not want to display in your legend. So whichever have the asterisk, that means you are not going to see it in your legend report. Whichever doesn't have the asterisk, you're going to see it. So how does it look like? This is exactly as you see here. At the very beginning, the dependency duration have it, inactive split have it, inactive milestone have it, milestone split have it, milestone task, milestone split, milestone, milestone. So these are the options where you have the asterisk. Now there's the thing what you need to do, which is kind of a last change. So the last item to change is to hide the task mode column. You don't want to display that because that is something very irrelevant. Mode is most likely not of interest to upper level. See, upper level is mostly worried about, is the project moving smoothly? Is the project which is in their control? Is the project in lines with the overall market MBU? So when you are thinking about so many things, you have to inline that with the resource who has to think about all these things. So that is the reason it both ways. Company thinking about employee, employee thinking about company. So mode is the most likely not of interest to upper level management and the program sponsors. So if you have people who are not very keen on all these things and you are looking for the good chunk of money, you may have a hard time getting it. But if they do, then you are going to be sitting at their head and you will be controlling the entire market. Then we are talking about the print from the print dialog box. So the moment you have the print from the print dialog box, Microsoft Project will create the PDF and it will ask you where do you want to save that file. So once that is created, this is exactly the final version will look like. Depending upon where did you save it, you can open it. And that is exactly is the last topic for this particular topic.